What happens when the player you traded away becomes everything you needed him to be, but for your biggest rivals? That's the gut-wrenching reality Toronto Maple Leafs fans are facing as Fraser Minten prepares to become a centerpiece for the Boston Bruins, the very team that could haunt Toronto's playoff dreams for years to come. Let's be brutally honest here. The Maple Leafs may have just handed their Atlantic Division rivals the exact type of player they've been desperately searching. Whoa. While Toronto continues to patch holes with aging veterans and short-term fixes, Fraser Minten is poised to become the reliable homegrown talent that slipped right through their fingers. Remember last season's trade deadline? The pressure was suffocating. Brad Treliving and the front office were walking a tightrope, trying to balance immediate playoff success with long-term sustainability. They were wheeling and dealing like their jobs depended on it, which, let's face it, they probably did. But in their frantic pursuit of Brandon Carlo, they may have made the kind of mistake that keeps general managers awake at night for decades. Fraser Minten wasn't just another prospect buried in the system. This was their most NHL-ready young talent, a player who possessed that rare combination of hockey IQ, defensive responsibility, and offensive upside that coaches dream about. At just 20 years old, he was already showing the kind of maturity and two-way play that typically takes years to develop now. Instead of wearing the blue and white, Minton is gearing up to potentially start opening night as a key piece of Boston's rebuilding puzzle. And here's what should terrify Leafs Nation. He's exactly the type of player their team has been missing for years. Think about Toronto's current center depths beyond Auston Matthews and John Tavares. You've got David Kampf, who's reliable but limited offensively. There's Cale Jarnkrok, who's been serviceable but hardly exciting. These are the players Minton could have surpassed given proper development time and opportunity. Instead, he's now positioned to become a crucial part of Boston's future core. The numbers from his brief NHL stint tell a compelling story. Points in 21 games split between Toronto and Boston might not jump off the page, but context matters. This was a teenager getting his first taste of the world's best hockey league, adapting on the fly while bouncing between organizations. His 7 points in 11 AL games with Providence after the trade? That's the kind of immediate impact that suggests he was ready for bigger things. But it's not just the offensive production that makes this trade sting. Minton brings exactly what modern NHL teams crave in their bottom six forwards. He wins faceoffs, a skill that becomes absolutely crucial in playoff hockey. He kills penalties with intelligence and positioning rather than just hustle and hope. He plays defense with the kind of awareness that allows coaches to trust him in any situation. Most importantly, he does all of this while still offering legitimate offensive upside. This isn't a one-dimensional grinder we're talking about. Now, this is a player who could realistically develop into a second line, center, or a dominant third-line pivot who drives possession and creates scoring chances. Boston recognized this immediately. The fact that they're already considering him for significant ice time in his first full season speaks volumes about his readiness and their confidence in his abilities. While Toronto continues to search for that elusive combination of youth, skill, and reliability, the Bruins may have found it in the player the Leafs discarded. The cruel irony is that Toronto traded Minton partly to protect Morgan Rielly,
another
player whose playoff performances have been, shall we say, inconsistent. They sacrificed their future for their present, and there's a very real chance that decision will come back to haunt them when these two teams inevitably meet in the playoffs. Consider the broader context of Toronto's organizational depth. This is a team that has consistently struggled to develop homegrown talent beyond their top picks. Their prospect pool has been thin for years, partly due to their win-now mentality and partly due to questionable development decisions. Losing Minton, along with Nikita Grebenkin in the same deal, significantly depleted what little organizational depth they had. Meanwhile, Boston is betting big on Minton's potential. They see him as a foundational piece in their post-Bergeron, post-Krejci era. They're giving him every opportunity to succeed, surrounding him with veteran leadership while allowing him the ice time to make mistakes and grow. It's exactly the kind of patient development approach that Toronto seems incapable of embracing. The timing makes this even more painful for Leafs fans. As their current core enters what should be their prime years, they're going to need reliable, cost-controlled depth to remain competitive. Players like Minton, young, talented, and on entry-level contracts are exactly what championship teams are built around. Instead, Toronto will likely continue overpaying for aging veterans who provide diminishing returns. There's also the psychological aspect to consider. Imagine if Minton develops into the player many expect him to become, and then Toronto faces Boston in a crucial playoff series. Every shift he takes, every faceoff he wins, every penalty he kills will serve as a reminder of what could have been. That's the kind of psychological warfare that can derail even the most talented teams. The Fraser Minten trade represents everything wrong with Toronto's approach to team building. They consistently prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability, and they seem incapable of trusting their own development system. This wasn't just a hockey trade, it was a philosophical statement about how little faith they have in their own prospects. As we look ahead to the upcoming season, don't be surprised if Fraser Minten becomes a household name in Boston while Toronto continues to search for answers at center depth. The Bruins got exactly what they needed, a young, talented, towel-ready center who can contribute immediately while still having significant upside. The Maple Leafs got Brandon Carlo, a solid but unspectacular defenseman who may not even be. In their long-term plans, this is the price of desperation, and Toronto may be paying it for years to come. Fraser Minten is ready to prove that some prospects are worth waiting for. Unfortunately, but be doing it in enemy territory. What do you think about this trade looking back? Are you as frustrated as I am about letting Minton slip away too? Boston, drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know if you think this will come back to haunt the Leafs. And if you want more brutal honesty about Toronto's roster decisions, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed. For all our Maple Leafs coverage,